The Purloined Letter. By Edgar Allan Poe. The Purloined Letter is a short story by American author Edgar Allan Poe. It is the third of his 3 detective stories featuring the fictional Auguste Dupin. The other 2 being The Murders in the Rue Morgue and The Mystery of Marie Régé. These stories are considered to be important early forerunners of the modern detective story. It first appeared in the literary annual The Gift for 1845-1844, and soon was reprinted in numerous journals and newspapers. Plot summary. The unnamed narrator is with the famous Parisian amateur detective, Auguste Dupin, when they are joined by G. Prefect of the Paris police. The prefect has a case he would like to discuss with Dupin. A letter from the Queen's lover has been stolen from her boudoir by the unscrupulous Minister D. D was in the room, saw the letter, and switched it for a letter of no importance. He has been blackmailing the Queen. The prefect makes 2 deductions with which Dupin does not disagree. The contents of the letter have not been revealed, as this would have led to certain circumstances that have not arisen. Therefore, Minister D still has the letter in his possession. The ability to produce the letter at a moment's notice is almost as important as actual possession of the letter. Therefore, he must have the letter close at hand. The prefect says that he and his police detectives have searched D's townhouse and have found nothing. They checked behind the wallpaper and under the carpets. His men have examined the tables and chairs with magnifying glasses and then probed the cushions with needles but have found no sign of interference. The letter is not hidden in these places. Dupin asks the prefect if he knows what he is seeking, and the prefect reads a minute description of the letter, which Dupin memorizes. The prefect then bids them good day. A month later, the prefect returns, still unsuccessful in his search. He is motivated to continue his fruitless search by the promise of a large reward, recently doubled, upon the letter's safe return, and he will pay 50,000 francs to anyone who can help him. Dupin asks him to write that check now and he will give him the letter. The prefect is astonished, but knows that Dupin is not joking. He writes the check, and Dupin produces the letter. The prefect determines that it is genuine and races to deliver it to the Queen. Alone together, the narrator asks Dupin how he found the letter. Dupin explains the Paris police are competent within their limitations, but have underestimated with whom they are dealing. The prefect mistakes the Minister D for a fool because he is a poet. For example, Dupin explains how an 8-year-old boy made a small fortune from his friends at a game called Odds and Evens. The boy had determined the intelligence of his opponents and play upon that to interpret their next move. He explains that D knew the police detectives would have assumed that the blackmailer would have concealed the letter in an elaborate hiding place, and thus hid it in plain sight. Dupin says he had visited the minister at his hotel. Complaining of weak eyes, he wore a pair of green spectacles, the true purpose of which was to disguise his eyes as he searched for the letter in a cheap card rack hanging from a dirty ribbon. He saw a half-torn letter and recognized it as the letter of the story's title. Striking up a conversation with D about a subject in which the minister is interested, Dupin examined the letter more closely. It did not resemble the letter the prefect described so minutely. The writing was different, and it was sealed not with the ducal arms of the S family, but with D's monogram. Dupin noticed that the paper was chafed as if the stiff paper was first rolled one way and then another. Dupin concluded that D wrote a new address on the reverse of the stolen one, refolded it the opposite way and sealed it with his own seal. Dupin left a snuff box behind as an excuse to return the next day, resuming the same conversation they had begun the previous day. D was startled by a gunshot in the street. While he went to investigate, Dupin switched D's letter for a duplicate. Dupin explains that the gunshot distraction was arranged by him and that he left a duplicate letter to ensure his ability to leave the hotel without D suspecting his actions. If he had tried to seize it openly, Dupin surmises D might have had him killed. As both a political supporter of the Queen and old enemy of the minister, who had done an evil deed to Dupin in Vienna in the past, Dupin also hopes that D will try to use the power he no longer has to his political downfall, and at the end be presented with a quotation from Prosper Gilliot de Crébillon's play Atriet Theist that implies Dupin was the thief. Undesane si funest, sil ne digne d'être. Est digne de Theist. If such a sinister design isn't worthy of Atrius, it is worthy of Thyestes. End of the summary.